Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video. As you know, I've been doing a lot of Robotaxi rides. They've been getting a lot of data, gaining a lot of confidence and experience. A lot of people from around the world has come out to try out the Robotaxi fleet. And of course, it has now spawned several expansions of the service areas and into different cities, which is really great to see. Now, in addition to Robotaxi from Tesla starting here in Austin, expanding out to San Francisco, Waymo has also been expanding their service areas. And this is great to see the competition. It also brings to mind whether or not the approaches that the two companies are using, which is very different when it comes to the sensor suites on the vehicles, as you can tell, with the way that they are managing their fleets, the sizes of the fleets, and the scalability, all is going to be put into a big test right now as each service is attempting to now leapfrog the other as far as total service area. And with that, I'd like to talk a little about the latest expansion of the Robotaxi service here in Austin. Now, if you'll recall, back on the 22nd of June, this yellow highlighted area is what the service area looked like. About 3 weeks later, expanded out to this blue area. It's about double the size. And then on the 3rd of August, it just expanded again, another doubling in size. And this image on the left gives you kind of an idea of what it looks like in the app. On the right compares the new expanded Waymo service area that happened on the 18th of July. Also, this map gives you a great idea of how they compare in size, where Giga-Texas is located. And as I mentioned, they have also expanded out into San Francisco. This map shows you what that area looks like, and also with those blue areas, the expanding Waymo service areas in that market as well. Now, in addition to these expansions and the service areas in the United States, Tesla is already showing in multiple cities around the world that full self-driving is capable. This is in Berlin, Germany. So hopefully we're going to start seeing a very large expansion of autonomous service, autonomous taxis all around the world in the very near future. It's very exciting. Thanks to Tesla Chan, we see that Tesla is gaining experience with the Robotaxi service. You'll note here that the route is outside of the artificial geofenced location, and before it was treated as a hard brake and the cars would stop operating. Now Tesla's allowing them to work knowing that this is just an artificial boundary. So all that is very good news. Now, shifting gears, the Model Y production line hours have changed. All of 2025, they've been Monday through Thursday, 6 in the morning to 4:30 p.m. That has changed as of the 31st of July. It extends an hour and a half each day, Monday through Thursday, now 6 to 6. And this is partly because of a big third quarter push, new incentives by Tesla, the ending of the federal government 7,500 EV rebate at the end of September coming up, and trying to pull forward a lot of the sales from the fourth quarter because of that. There's a new ability to write off new car interest on your 2025 federal taxes if you're in the United States, which is a big deal. This may also allow more Robotaxi Model Y production to meet an expanding fleet. And also, because of all of this, in my personal opinion, I don't think we're going to be seeing that lower cost vehicle until the start of the fourth quarter. So now you're up to date with Robotaxis, the expanded service, and the expanded production line hours for the Model Y here at Giga-Texas. So there's nothing left to do other than get the drone in the air, fly around, and see what Giga-Texas looks like today. If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Good morning from the east side of Giga, Texas. It's a beautiful start of the day, although by the end of the video, rains actually come through. So great thing that we started a little bit earlier. Now, few things I want to show you is all of these materials being stored here. This is part of the phase 2 of the south extension of the factory, and they're preparing all of these materials for that installation. Of course, the testing and calibration lot is mostly empty, a few cars over by the superchargers, but what I really want to do is get in close and fly along the east side of the factory so we can see all of the things that are being delivered and installed. Starting here at the melt plant and the baghouse filtration plant, we also see on the ground a lot of castings. The ones in view here are mostly for the Model Ys, and we'll get some closer views of other castings a little later in the video. As I maneuver here, this is a great view of this temporary platform that is loading up materials and equipment on the second floor of the casting machine structure, part of the factory. And as we continue to fly south, I'm going to refocus onto the roof. These are those enclosures that have been added and in the process of being completed on top of the body in white. This is very likely related to permits for a new heating and ventilation system that is being installed in this part of the factory. Of course, inside here, they have also been expanding the vertical capabilities for production with mezzanines, floors, and a lot more equipment as well. Now, as we continue to fly to the south, a good view of that secondary main entrance where some of the doors have some items just on the inside. And then here for this platform where that rubbish chute is, we can see more equipment being prepared, including some yellow robotic assemblers next to that red and white kind of truss-like structure. There is some other equipment being unloaded today. We can also see some of the crates that have already been unpacked, and those will be ready for recycling, and some more ductwork on the left of the screen. As I pull back, this is a good view of those superchargers, that covered tent for testing, and the vehicles that are here for right now. Also a really good overall view of this east side where all of the receiving doors are, the temporary platforms for the body in white as they're expanding inside. And here's another one, plus a lot of the equipment that's along the ground. Now, as we fly over the parking garage and take a look at more of these items getting prepared for loading in this platform, all on the right-hand side of the screen, as you can see on the ground. And then it looks like more items and some equipment being put around those green and gray kind of containers next to the factory. Now, as I get down here a little bit farther to the south, I'm going to zoom back out and pull away. I just want to show you the material staging next to the south end of the parking garage, again with more of these pipes, some concrete pipe segments as well. These green pipes that we are seeing being installed along the west berm, and just overall how this looks. We see the buses on the right. That's part of the transportation system that a lot of employees are using, so that they are parking off-site rather than here on-site. As I zoom back in, a great view of some of the recycling operations in those open doors for the stamping machine structure. More of those white kind of cradles on the right next to the tower. And then as we get closer to the cooling unit or the cooling plant, we can see that all 6 of the fans are operational. Great view with the lighting of the entire plant itself and the ground floor. And then as I stay zoomed in, where they are installing more of these walls, the steel studs, those yellow panels. Haven't seen much change here yet, but once they get more of those panels on, we'll see that texturized coating, and then most likely that dark gray kind of stain so that it blends in with the window line. I'll zoom back out. We're going to pull back away, kind of get a quick view of the entire south end. You can note that on the south part of River Road, there's a lot of vehicles and earthwork going on, and it looks like they may in fact be preparing to remove those lower power poles, which I've been watching for a long time and hoping to see removed. But there is a lot of work, and I'll give you some closer views of that here momentarily. But I'm going to come back down here at the southeast side of the main factory, show you this part of that cooling system on the right, and of course this temporary platform and those wall panels from a lower altitude. Also a nice view along the east side all the way to the north of the factory that we just toured. And with the lighting, we can get some view inside where they've been doing work on the ground. You can see those excavations, and that work seems to be continuing. On the south end, it looks like crews are doing some landscaping maintenance on all the grass, of course, around the cyber pond. And as I had mentioned earlier, the work that's going on the south side of River Road. Here's a much lower altitude view of what is going on, some of the earthwork, the smaller silt fences around this area, and of course those lower level power lines, which may be being replaced, or maybe they're doing some additional work, maybe utilities through this area. But it'll be something I'll continue to watch. But this is a great view along that whole length of the River Road and what that looks like on the left-hand side of the screen with some excavation work that is underway. Now, one of the things I did notice as I was coming up closer to the excavation work on the left-hand side of the screen that is underway is that I noticed all of these crews next to the fork statue. You can see some kind of orange flags being put around the fork. I think this may be that kind of concrete base that I've been hearing about. Maybe they're preparing for that installation here very soon. But with the workers next to the fork, this gives you a great sense of scale while we are here. And of course, a view across the cyber pond back to the main factory. And as I pull away, it's a great view along River Road again of that work that we just saw, some trench boxes at the bottom center of the screen. And as I continue to turn around, more excavation work over by the South Bridge. And we'll see those concrete pipe segments, some of those orange and white barricades, the trench box, and some of that purple pipe that is being installed. And that's connecting into the pipe that runs underneath River Road that was installed with a horizontal drilling boring machine. So I'm going to bring the drone up, give you a great view from this perspective, the south end, and then we're going to cross over the highway and resume on the other side. Been a little while since I've shown you the caisson and the work that's going in the base of that caisson with the tunneling. So as I zoom in, get a good view of some of the equipment around the ground near the opening. And then as we look down in, another one of those concrete liners on the left, the rams on the right that usually push them in. It looks like they're ready for maybe another pipe segment. Hard to tell for sure. But it's clearly open up in that center section. So as I pull away, this is a good overall view of this work around the caisson and the tunnel, and also just some more of the materials that are stored around this side of the whole operation here. Now, as we look across the top, that's the West Warehouse on wheels. And I'm going to maneuver the drone over this area, go back over towards this triangular staging yard and fly over the power lines. We'll take a look at all of the equipment and materials, specifically production line equipment that have been delivered here on this side. And as you can tell with this overall view, a lot more materials have arrived. As I go over the power line, I'll bring the drone down. The first thing you'll see is these crates. This is where some excess glass has been stored, and one of those panes did fall over, and I showed you that on a video several weeks ago. And then here, a lot of these materials that were stockpiled on my last video have already been moved into the factory. We can get a good sense with these red ones what it looks like underneath the wrappings. And all of this, again, is production line equipment. Now, there's some steel that's being used for inside the factory to continue with more mezzanines and floors. And then we also see some of the trucks next to this white tent-like structure that are delivering more items. And speaking of which, all along this entire side, on the left, on the right, and on the top of the screen, we can see much of this production line equipment. And as fast as it's getting here, it's not spending a lot of time here. It's moving into the factory fairly quickly. In fact, we can see a truck being loaded up, or at least a trailer, and then a yard truck will pick that up and take it over to the factory. A lot of crates as well, blue wrapped items, green wrapped items, and of course those silver items which we've been seeing put into those temporary platforms on both sides of the factory. As I continue to maneuver around here, we can see a water truck trying to keep the dust at bay while more of the equipment's being loaded up onto trailers for movement to the factory. A lot more equipment here next to the transformers, and of course more trucks delivering more items here today. And they're all a variety of different kinds, including crates, green wrapped items, darker crates, and looks like some maybe platform type items here on the truck at the bottom of the screen, and then more here being delivered with that black wrapped truck. I'm going to bring the drone up to a higher altitude. We'll look at this material staging yard where more of the equipment in that triangular fenced off section has been moved into the factory. Of course, these brown wrapped items are part of the semi manufacturing process with stamping machines out of Giga, Nevada, and parts of that have already been delivered to that factory. As I come back lower here, we can get a good view of some of the equipment that's already being loaded up onto some trucks, as you can see at the bottom center of the screen. And some of this has been going over to the 4680 cell portion of the factory as well. Looks like they're opening up some more crates. And then here next to this kind of Quonset hut, which I think is used for trucks, maybe cleanouts, maybe some inspections, we can also see this workshop that has solar panels on the roof, which is pretty neat to see. I know a lot of viewers keep asking me about solar being used around the factory, and there's a great example of how that's being used even on temporary workshops. It is early on a Monday, but production is already kicked off with the new production schedule that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. For the most of the year, it's been 6 in the morning to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Thursday. And starting late last week, and especially this week, it is now an hour and a half longer per day. So 6 in the morning to 6 at night. That is production throughout those 12 hours. And the shuttle bus schedule has been changed as well. This is that washout rack and some of the piping and grease traps on the underground where that trenching is being done, and that's almost finished. Soon we'll be able to see this in operation. Obviously, most of the outbound lot is empty because the transport trucks picked up the vehicles over the weekend, but with production gearing up quickly this morning and with the longer hours, we should see the lot filling back up again. Speaking of which, we can see at least one Model Y arriving here at the north end of the end-of-line facility. And as we get around the corner, we're going to start seeing more of them driving by. I'll bring the drone down, get a good view of at least 3 of them that are driving autonomously here to these lanes, and then that will go into the end of line for final processing. At this altitude, also, it gives you almost a walking kind of altitude view of what this operation is like, with more of the Model Ys driving autonomously towards us. By the time I finished my video and was departing for the day, these lanes were about half full, all 4 lanes. So production was definitely kicking up. And of course, this is the superchargers on the south end and what that operation looks like today. Now I'm going to maneuver the drone back towards the Cyber tunnel. We do see a Cybertruck passing by the face of it right now. I don't think that's a newly production one. I think it's just a vehicle that's used by the factory. Of course, Cybertrucks are still driving through the Cyber tunnel over to the west side. So let's cross over the highway again, and we'll take a look at the west berm. All of the trench work that is underway here. We see some kind of auger drill bits on the ground here, a trench box, more equipment and supplies lined up on both sides of the berm. And as we continue to fly further to the north, you're going to see trench boxes on the right-hand side of the screen near the silt fence as that work is continuing. More equipment being stored on the right-hand side of the screen. Some of the work here on the berm to kind of reshape it, and that is underway right at the bottom of the screen. More trench work, more trench boxes near the flagpoles, and this is what that looks like. And as we look towards the north on the top left, more of that work is continuing. While I'm here, I thought I would maneuver and take a look at the exit point for the Model Ys from the factory. None were moving out at the moment that I was here with my drone, but you can see some headlights, or at least the lights on the inside. So probably within maybe 30 seconds after I finished up this part, another was exiting and driving autonomously over to that west side. And as I continue to fly along at this side, another good look at the berm, some of the water trucks spraying down the berm for preparation for grass. And then here is the loading platform. And just after I left here, a very large yellow robotic assembler was moved up into that platform area. And if you get my images, if you're a subscriber or Patreon, you'll be able to see those photos in high resolution. Of course, battery cell production and recycling is continuing. These are the cans for the 4680s in the blue bins, and then just some other material for recycling in the green bins. While I'm here, I also wanted to show you the perimeter fence that's being installed along the berm here. A great view along the sidewalk, and of course the grass here and the middle level on the berm. This fence is going to eventually complete all the way along the berm on the west side, and it's similar to what we see on the west side of the highway where they've completed that work around that entire west support facility. But here's what it looks like currently, and it kind of wraps around this entire north parking lot. While I'm here on the north end, a few things I do want to show you, besides some crates that are being unloaded here near the plastics manufacturing cell portion of the factory. What caught my eye was a few things. One, on top of the platform, these items that are getting ready to be moved in. And then these rack mounts here, some of which are very different than what I've seen before. And as I zoom in, this gives you a great close-in look at what some of this appears like. And I'm not really sure what these are. These are very different from anything that we've seen here at Giga-Texas before. Also on the bottom, we see those kind of triangular mounts as well. But if you happen to know what these are, please let me know in the comment section. It's possible this is indicating maybe some, I don't know, rack mounts or stands that are used for a different model. It's really hard to tell for sure. As we wrap around the northeast corner, we can see some of the rack mounts with some Cybertruck castings, a lot of empty racks on this north handling and sorting lot. And as I pull away, we'll see more Cybertruck castings here on these rack mounts, and some getting moved inside with that vehicle. But a lot of these are definitely empty, and it makes me wonder what is going on, what is the plan, and is this for something future, or is it just they aren't making enough castings right now at this moment in time? So it'll be something I continue to monitor. There's a lot of the equipment, some of which has been unpacked and assembled on this side of the lot. The old paint stands for the older bumpers, and of course there looks to be some more earthwork being done here in this corner of the facility. As I pan back towards the melt center, we'll stay at a lower altitude and fly over this road, and I want to just show you a few things. One, the Cybercab castings, the bottom of the screen, front and rear subframes along the left-hand side berm in those rack mounts. And then as I pan the drone here, all of the equipment and items that we see at the bottom and the center of the screen and underneath this open kind of patio kind of area. This is where a second furnace loading machine is being assembled, very similar to the one you see on the right-hand side of the screen. So eventually there will be two here. The baghouse filtration plant looks pretty good as we fly up at a higher altitude here. And then I'm going to reposition the drone. We'll fly over the power lines. We'll take a look at the new trailers and what is going on with those here in this parking lot. On the right-hand side of the screen next to Robotic Avenue, most of the trenching has been completed. Here at the bottom of the screen, we can see where that grass, artificial grass panels had been removed on the center part of the parking lot. And this is what the current situation with the new trailers for the temporary offices look like. Looks like some bollards have been put on here near that stop sign and on the west side of the trailers. And of course, the older trailers are on the left here, and they are preparing to move out of them. I did notice this excavation with a trench box. As we peer down inside, we're going to see what looks to be auger bits at the bottom of this trench, and some other equipment as well. So I'll continue to monitor that as we get into the week and see what's going on. The Cortex 2 facility is really coming along with the exterior walls. The south side gives you an idea of what this looks like, with about half of it with the white stain. The rest of it's getting that final texture coating on it. And the work on the roof, the installation of the insulation panels, and also the weatherproof membrane is making progress. Looks like it's on the southwest corner mostly, and then they'll be working their way to the right of the screen and then from the south to the north. While we're here, I also noticed that there is some formwork rebar and kind of what may be a retaining wall jutting out from this corner of the building. This is a great look at what this work is appearing like. And we can also see that kind of smaller retaining wall on the inside of the opening as well. And that runs the full length on this west side of the facility. It's possible that this may be used for cooling lines that come in to this part of the factory and then are kind of organized inside, or it could be some other purpose. I'm not really sure yet. As we fly up along this side on the left, we can see that there's earthwork next to the fence. And it's possible that that may be where cooling systems are. I'm not really sure, but we do notice that in the perimeter grade beam here, next to where they're putting the studs in, there are holes in this grade beam that could suggest where pipes will enter into the facility. So once again, something to be monitoring. As I come over towards the water detention pond and the earthwork that is going on, this is kind of a great view of this part of the site at a lower altitude. You can see the outlet for the water detention pond here with the riprap, or kind of the stone around it, and then that newly created drainage system here where the site was extended to the north, the silt fence, and next to the trees. You also see some dump trucks coming onto the site here. And as I bring the drone back up, a great overall view of that earthwork going on and Cortex 2 as it continues to get more of its exterior walls. The north side looks like they are still putting in those blue panels. Of course, the work will then commence with seam sealer, the texturized coating, and then the white stain work. But this is a great higher altitude view of the area between the cathode plant on the left and the Cortex 2. Of course, the die shop in the upper left-hand side of the screen. You can also see that outlet that goes into that pond on the right-hand side of the screen. As we get over towards the northeast corner of the cathode building, I'm going to pull away just slightly. You can see some of the materials that are stored here, those steel corrugated pipes and other pipes, also some rebar it looks like. And of course here is again, more of those steel corrugated pipes and connecting segments. All of this is part of that underground water management system that will tie in the new construction to this filtration pond with all of the vegetation that you see at the bottom of the screen. Crash test facility looks like it may actually be busy today, but I'm going to be staying up at a higher altitude. The curtains on the north end look like they've been pulled away. And of course, that dunk tank on the south end looks like they've been using that for some of the testing. Great view back to the main factory along the entire east side. This shows where Tesla Road will eventually be expanded through. And I think they're going to have to do some work with the power lines when that happens as well. Of course, some of the materials that are still here that will be part of the extension of Tesla Road. Much of the water management system underneath this area has been installed. Here's a nice view from the southeast side looking to the northwest across the Cortex 2 building, and all the items on the bottom right are those insulation panels for the roof that are stored temporarily. We see some more of that here on the west side. As we get over closer to the Megapack and the switch yard, I'm going to pull back for a moment. I almost forgot to show you the trench work that is going on here next to Tesla Road. And this is what it looks like today. There's now what looks to be 3 parallel trenches. And in the bottom of that, we're going to see some of that gray conduit, which suggests this is going to be for electrical cabling. All right, actually, I guess it's one single trench and then the dirt on either side. But you can see that conduit. It's already being connected together. And it may actually connect to some other conduit that goes underneath Tesla Road. So that'll be something I'll continue to monitor. Flying back over Tesla Road, we'll go over the gas terminal system, some of these blue trailers, and get to the Megapack site. Good view of the perimeter fence, the lighting, the Megapacks themselves, the transformers, that central cable tray with all of the cables into it, and they all come up to this centralized control trailer where work is still underway. Now, next to these trailers on the left, the 2 concrete vaults that will be connected together. We can see how that is happening with these concrete segments. And as I maneuver around, this gives you a really good idea not only of how this is being done, but also with the workers, the scale of these kind of conduit boxes, and how this is going to connect the original vault in the top left to the new vault here on the bottom right. And most likely it'll be connecting through that large opening on that corner of the vault. Speaking of which, there's some more excavation going on here in the southeast corner. There's more of the kind of stands and preparation for the forms to be able to make the roof. And that is well underway here. And soon we'll see more rebar being installed underneath the forms, and then they'll be able to pour the concrete. While I'm here also, I wanted to show you the earthwork that is underway for the expansion of the switchyard. Now, we did see the trenching that suggested the grounding grid was already installed, and this is the continuation of that dirt fill that was being brought in on my previous video, now kind of expanding the entire width of the site, where the switchyard on the right will be expanded and mirrored on to that new location. So that'll bring us to a close for today. As I mentioned, we started off with some sun, but now the rains are about to hit. In fact, it's already raining, as you can tell from the drone. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed what we were able to talk about in the intro and see in the main video itself. As always, thank you very much for your support and for watching. I hope we have a great week. Take care.